Howdy y'all, Stock Warden here back with another video. Today we're looking at Palantir Technologies and we're going to go over their Q4 earnings report, which has led to a nice good spike. So they also have had amazing revenue streams, amazing contracts, and they have ended up bringing out all of 2025 ahead. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into a lot of the main numbers. So Palantir Technologies has smashed all the expectations for the fourth quarter, as you can see down here as well on the earnings report. They posted a 1.4 billion in revenue, which is up 70% year over year, which is versus 1.3 billion that they had initially expected. So an adjusted EPS landed at 0.25. So that beat estimates and nearly doubled last year's results. So just on that information alone, the shares jumped about 7% after hours as investors digested a quarter that combined explosive growth with real profitability, which honestly is a rare combo in any AI adjacent land and company. Plus, Palantir is showing growth with margins that tend to get Wall Street's attention fast. So, CEO of Palantir Technologies, Alex Karp, summed everything up in his classic Alex Karp fashion, calling the results of the Q4 a massive acceleration in growth and a cosmic reward. So, is that going to be effective? Absolutely, because he is still steamrolling over everything when it comes to anything and everything AI plus government base and bringing out into the international markets. So, which, to that point, the U.S. demand is doing a lot of the heavy lifting for Palantir Technologies, which kind of shows as to why anytime we have a little bit of issue with the government, like we have a little bit of a shutdown that's been going on, and a lot of the different tariff talks and news and stuff like that, pretty much the direction that people see the government in is pretty much the same exact reflection that you see in Palantir Technologies stock. So it's been able to kind of make this stock almost extremely predictable on just following the U.S. government's trend of what the U.S. government is either in favor or not favored of doing. So the U.S. revenue has surged 93%, with commercial sales up 137% to the tune of 507 million. So to translate that massive jump is that private companies are absolutely opening their wallets and signing practically blank checks for Palantir's AI-driven data platforms and not just for government agencies alone. So you have 507 million in that side, but the government revenue also pulled its weight, rising 66% to 570 million. Combined with the U.S. quarterly revenue, they cleared $1 billion for the first time, which is a psychological and financial milestone for Palantir Technologies. Then into the international sales, they grew at 22%, which obviously is nowhere near what they have done domestically, but it still is a positive and highlighting Palantir is still on a amazing growth trend. It still remains very US centric, but still for broadening its international horizons. So that's still to leave a lot more pressure, I guess you could say, on other companies looking at AI being the next big booster and pusher as America has been using it. So now if we're looking at just their specific profits, cash, and energies, you have Palantir posting a 41% operating margin in Q4 and has converted 47% of 2025's revenue into free cash flow. So that's 100% real money, real capital, no adjusted fluff or, hope, optimism. That number has not lied, and it is standing tall and strong. So now Palantir is sitting on over $7 billion in cash and marketable securities. So Palantir's not going anywhere anytime soon, people. And even though the stock has been kind of tipping in between 150 and 200 over the past, 6 months, the stock price is still very, very attractive considering all of these margins and numbers. So the Palantir's management has also raised Q1 and full year 2026 guidance well above analyst expectations, signaling a massive confidence that demand is not a one-quarter wonder. So Palantir is not just looking at a 3-month turnaround. They are looking at pushing hard for the entire year, looking at a yearly goal. So bottom line, Palantir is pitching itself as the AI company that is actually bringing in the bag. So in today's market, it really and truly would be considered the most, as Alex Karp said, cosmic reward of all. So all of that to be said for Palantir is absolutely amazing. And also, a lot of people took note of the Q4 projects. So you have a massive amount of different analysts that have revised their forecasts on Palantir Technologies. So now that the fourth quarter market is done and everything was closed out on Monday, then you can turn around and look at the exacts for all of the different analysis estimates that were beat through Q1, 2, 3, and 4 for 2025, as you can see on this lower earnings report down here. Their market cap has gotten higher, their average volume has gotten higher, so they are still doing nothing but pushing forward and pursuing even higher with more contracts and more partnerships than what anybody could have originally thought of. So you're looking this at Palantir is alone in choosing to exclusively focus on just scaling the operational leverage made possible by the rapid advancements of their AI models. So, which that is a trend that we had first initially thought that was going to be more of a commodity, looking at AI as more of a commodity, but now more and more people are starting to try and repeat that. So Palantir is not just looking at a commodity source, but they're trying to bring AI into a necessity source, which they have, especially in the US market and with the government as well, because their operating systems are non-comparable to any other AI platform or database. So Palantir is expecting the first quarter revenue for 2026 to be in the range of 1.53 to 1.54 billion versus their typical estimate of $1.32 billion. So the company also guided for the full year 2026 revenue of $7.18 billion to $7.2 billion versus the lower estimate of $6.21 billion. So that kind of gives us the layout of their confidence level for the full year of 2026 and how they're looking directly into 2026 and not specifically worrying about each individual quarter. So Palantir also guided the full year U.S. commercial revenue growth of at least 115% and has adjusted their free cash flow of approximately $3.93 to $4.13 billion. So with all of that, you can obviously see that Palantir has gained a pretty decent percent, where they ended up coming out on top right at 7%, trading and closing at 157.88 on the day. So with all of that, you have the analysts as where they stand. You have Piper Sandler, which is analyst Clark Jeffries, maintained Palantir with an overweight rating, but still raised the price target from $225 to $230 a share. And that's kind of shocking to be labeled as overweight, but still raising the price target at something that is over, $50 a share. That's a massive stretch, but I wouldn't necessarily consider it a stretch because they'll get there. It's just they're not going to get there tomorrow. So UBS analysis Carl Kierstead, I'm sorry if I butchered that, but they are maintaining the stock with a neutral and lowered their price target from 205 to 180. So Palantir has been in the 180 range for quite some time. They held on to the 180s for a long period of time. So the UBS analysis might just specifically be looking at a price target ranging for the Q1, but like what Palantir is trying to do, they are looking for the year, not just for a quarter. So then we have one of the typical analysts of Palantir, Citigroup. So with their analyst, Tyler Radke, is maintaining Palantir with a buy and has raised the price target to the highest price target that has been praised for Palantir Technologies to date, bringing the price target from their initial $235 that they had raised now to $260 a share for their price target, maintaining a full buy on Palantir Technologies. So, and then at the last major analysis that we have of Palantir from the Q4 earnings report is D.A. Davidson analyst Gil Luria, which is maintaining the stock with a neutral, and they lowered the price target from $215 to $180 a share. So D.A. Davidson has typically kept Palantir on a neutral ground for the most part, and they only move their price targets roughly $20 to $30 a share. So it's not too hard to say that with them trying to stay neutral and more or less looking in the short term is kind of what it seems Davidson and UBS are looking at. So can't necessarily call them wrong for a price target to be 180 if we turn around and hit 180 within the month and continue moving up from there. So still, 180 is still higher than where we are currently and where we ended at the end of today on Tuesday, February the 3rd, at this 157.88, looking right at 158 a share. If we go ahead and poke a tab on there and we run a resistance line all the way back through, we're going to say August of 2024, then you can see just how this resistance line is kind of stacking up, because you could see for quite some time we did have this line specifically on a top end for a breakout trend. Same thing just here recently, back in towards the end of November, we had a bottom out where it broke through this 158 a share range, but it only broke through and stayed for 2 days. So then now we fast forward all the way to today. We once again had a breakout going past through this resistance line, but it only lasted for just a couple of days. And then now we are tiptoeing this 158 line again. But we did have a solid breakthrough, bringing the daily high all the way up to $165 a share. So with that being said, moving forward with Palantir, with all of the new analysis plus the results, I believe that this stock is going to continue either bouncing and mitigating on the top side of this to where the breakthrough will stay strong on top of this resistance line and continue to start getting back into its bullish trend, because we've had enough of these bears and it's time for the bulls to come to make a full comeback, which is very possible, but we are still looking at this looming government shutdown where we still do not know exactly what's going to happen with where the government is going to be moving from here, also with all of their major financial decisions for America as well. So that'll be to be seen and determined here in the near and quite a bit of the far future as well. So hopefully all of that will be contained and pushed forward. So with all that being said, I hope y'all enjoyed the video. That was everything that I have for the Q4 report and also into the future lookings of 2026 for Palantir Technologies, and also the ever so amazing analysis sparks that will bring controversy to anybody that is excited or feeling strongly about this stock, as well as everybody else that thinks that Palantir is way over where it should be, because some people still believe Palantir shouldn't be more than $40 a share. And to me, I don't know, I guess they missed the boat. So stay tuned for the next one. Hopefully y'all enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see y'all in the next video. So this is the Stock Warden riding off. See y'all come back now, you hear?